Good morning and welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11 and you can find me on X at Razzle11Grinds. Go ahead and take a look. It's pitching for today, the 14th of August. It is Wednesday. We do have a 3-game day slate and an 11-game main slate this evening. I'm going to take a look at DraftKings since that is where a majority of my action is. If you are on FanDuel, I would cut my pitcher pool into about a half or a third. Just because pricing isn't as tight, so you don't have to be as creative with pitching. Let's take a look. I have not seen anything about weather updates yet, so we're just going to take pitching for what it is and go from there. A quick look at this three gamer. Not a whole lot to really talk about, but I mean, I do think it's Cole Reagans, Mitch Keller, and then probably Montgomery and Martin Perez. Montgomery has not been all that good, but he gets the matchup that we've been looking for. Um, I just don't know. He's certainly capable. He did it against the White Sox, but it's been a pretty rough year for Montgomery after sitting out basically all of spring training and then spending some time hurt as well. It's just tough. Just on this slate, we have to take some chances with the SP2. Uh, Martin Perez has thrown a couple of strong games with San Diego. So I like those trends taking on his former squad, the Pirates. I would think Perez probably falls into number 3 on my list, and then Montgomery number 4. I mean, certainly Varland could be interesting. He looked good early in his last start, but then fell apart a bit. Um, but I just don't know that I really want to go there. It's not the greatest slate, to be honest. So, but let's switch over to the main. An 11 gamer, pretty large slate on a Wednesday evening. Usually there are more Wednesday day games than we get today, but the slate starts about a half an hour earlier than normal, 5:35 Central Time. Kind of looking around, Blanco, obviously against the Rays team, we generally pick on the Rays with pitching, so we can use Blanco in this one. Wasn't very sharp in his last outing. Faced Tampa Bay 2 outings ago, was decent but not great. It's been over a month since he's put up a performance above 17 fantasy points. So he could be kind of hitting a bit of a wall as the season goes on in his first year in the majors. He is a minus 122 favorite with a K prop of 6.5. Just slightly on the under in that K prop, but still, um, I think he's usable or viable. Uh, but I just don't see myself wanting to go super heavy. So hopefully this projected ownership is a little lower. Uh, Brian Wu dominated Detroit the first time he faced them. His numbers on the road haven't been as strong, but he's been decent. His last start was against Detroit as well. Gave up a few runs, but he finds ways to offset those with some strikeouts. His Ks have kind of been all over the place, but he's also hasn't been the healthiest. His K prop's 5.5 with juice on the under, but he is a minus 142 road favorite. Uh, I think Wu's definitely a little more exciting than Blanco is. Maybe not quite as steady, but I think Wu kind of wears the hat as the SP1, at least with my quick glance at the names below. Tyler Anderson, probably a perfectly fine option. Has been decent at home. Not a big K guy, obviously, but I say that, and he has 7+ Ks in 3 out of his last 4 starts. He also has 23+ fantasy points in 3 out of those last 4. His last start coming in against the Yankees offense, which definitely is a great sign. Uh, I think Tyler Anderson just has to be played today. Not that I'm super excited, but he is a minus 115 favorite. K prop just 4.5, but like I said, not really known as a strikeout guy, so it's kind of tough, wanting to pay 8,700 for a guy that's not a huge K guy against a team that, at least for the first half of the season, wasn't a huge K team. Uh, they might have increased a little bit now that they're kind of letting some young guys play, but it's not some slam dunk spot, which unfortunately we get a lot of those on the slate. Just not a ton of slam dunk spots. Robbie Ray, going to be the third straight left-handed pitcher for the Giants against the Braves. I don't really think that's a good thing for him. His K prop 7.5, juice on the under, and he is a minus 115 favorite. Game total 7.5. Like, the biggest thing is obviously the ballpark helps out a lot, but I mean he can have home run issues, right? Like, he had a home start where he did allow 3 home runs. Excuse me, against Oakland. The 2 home runs at Cincinnati, it's whatever. That ballpark obviously a lot smaller. Um, Coming off of 105 pitches, uh, a little worry there for a guy that only making his fifth start after being injured, um, and not getting an extra day of rest. So I think we're gonna have to use him just because I think he's got plenty of upside. Um, but I will want some exposure to the Atlanta bats in that one. Jose Barrios has not been as strong on the road, giving up a ton of home runs on the road. Um, but I think it's a pretty good spot. Excuse me. Like I mentioned, LA is a slight favorite. K prop of 4.5, juices on the over. Um, I think Berrios is the guy we're going to go to quite a bit, to be honest. Um, just because a lot of these guys just don't have extreme upside. So I think Berrios kind of slides in pretty well. Gausman looked pretty good against the Angels last night. Didn't strike out a ton, but looked pretty solid. Bueller, I'm going to have to look to see what he's been doing in the minors, but he was not very sharp at the major league level, allowing home runs, not striking people out, etc. It's going to be kind of a wait and see with Walker Bueller. I know people are going to use him just based off of name value. I will not be one of them. Jameson Tyon, it's kind of alternated decent starts, but not really big fantasy point starts. I'm just not going to use him against Cleveland either at this point. I'm not sure if I want to really go with Tyler Phillips, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have to slide him in. The big thing since his complete game shutout, best start at the major league level, he has struggled the last 2 starts. Uh, Obviously, one of them was against the Dodgers, but a start against Seattle that I don't really remember Seattle being super hot at the time, but they might have been. Um, Big thing in that one, just 1 strikeout against a team that strikes out a lot, allowing 3 home runs. Uh, I think he's just blindly in play against Miami. K prop of 4.5, juices on the over. He is a minus 185 favorite. I don't feel super excited about going there, but I think he certainly makes sense based on the opponent. The fact that he's a sizable favorite. Uh, Dean Kramer, somebody I might consider. He hasn't been that great at home, which is a worry. Walks have been up. A lot of the recent trends and numbers just say that Kramer probably needs to be avoided. Now that I'm looking at it, he's a minus 185 favorite. K prop of 3.5 with juice on the over. Um, man, still might want to get there, but I'm kind of second guessing playing him uh, from an initial look standpoint. Estes against the Mets, not really all that interested there. He hasn't been terrible, but just don't really think I want to go there. He's been pretty bad on the road. Will Warren was pretty rough in his last start, was pretty rough in his first one. Now he takes on a weak White Sox team. Um, There's another one that I think people are just blindly playing him against the White Sox. Uh, I don't really know what to do. K-Prop 5.5 juices on the under. He is a minus 258 favorite. Luis Hill struggled. Nestor Cortez was phenomenal. So I don't know. Based on those, I would think Will Warren somehow is phenomenal, but uh, doesn't make a ton of sense based on how he's thrown the ball. But the opponent is weak enough that he could turn it around. Grant Holmes in San Francisco. Um, Man, strikeouts have been there in 2 out of the last 3, but I wonder. I think I might want to use him, to be honest. The theme of using pitching in this ballpark, kind of follow that theme. K prop of 5.5. I think he's solid enough that I do think there's enough upside for him on the slate. DJ Hurts had some pretty big games from a strikeout standpoint. A couple double-digit K games. I don't really think I want to use him against Baltimore, but kind of going back to my season-long theory of using left-handed pitching in Baltimore, he kind of fits that mold. Um, so that's somebody as the day goes on, I might find myself liking more and more for GPP purposes. But even then, it's still a 10 to 15% play in my pool. It's not something to go overboard against that Baltimore offense. Not really gonna go with Carson Spears, I don't believe. He was pretty strong against the St. Louis squad. He's pitching at home where he's been his strongest, but not overly excited. David Peterson, somebody that interests me a little bit against Oakland since they do strike out plenty. Obviously, the big worry is the home run ball. Oakland does hit home runs. K prop 5.5 juices on the under. He is a minus 185 favorite. Game total is just 8 in that one. So that intrigues me even more. Peterson might be one of those guys that just finds himself as the last man in my pool. So, but there we have it. There's kind of a first look. There's really nobody down below that I'm all that interested in as of right now. Uh, Obviously, as the day goes on, I will dig in here and there to get a much refined pitcher pool. So, uh, but yeah, if you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell on. Get the alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. If you want to join us and get access to our coaches, tools, sheets, Discord, etc., I will put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, that's RAZ, for 10% off monthly. And as always, best of luck, everybody.